Welcome to the GameRamble video review for LYNE, narrated by me, DarkCloud. As always, the full text version of this review can be found on the GameRamble website linked below. The TLDR for LYNE is that it is a simple but addictive and quite challenging minimalist puzzle game. It takes a straightforward concept, connecting all the shapes on the grid, and turns it into a game that can become infinitely complex. Don't worry though, as LYNE features over 600 puzzles to ease you into things. Thanks to the randomly generated daily puzzles, this is a game that also offers an incredible amount of value for money. While it's definitely a game more suited for playing in short bursts on mobile, it doesn't feel out of place on PC. Gameplay receives a 9 out of 10. As the game states, LYNE is deceptively simple but infinitely complex. Graphics receives an 8 out of 10. Very minimal, but the focus is on the puzzles and the visuals match the style of the game. Sound receives a 7 out of 10. Sound is also very minimal, but once again the audio is a good match for the relaxing atmosphere of LYNE. The overall score for LYNE is 8 out of 10. And now for the full review. Thomas Bowker, the sole developer behind LYNE, describes his minimalist puzzle game as deceptively simple but infinitely complex. This is a rather apt tagline for a game that is intuitive enough that anyone can grasp the primary goal within seconds, but with enough challenges to keep you busy for hours. All you have to do in LYNE is connect all the shapes on a grid-shaped board, with the only rule being that the lines you use to do so must fill the entire board, but cannot intersect each other. Initially this is easy enough to accomplish in a matter of seconds, but you'll soon realize that with more than 600 levels, things eventually become a lot more complicated. There are a couple of things that LYNE throws at players in order to increase the difficulty as you progress. First is the fact that the number of shapes you have to connect increases, making it harder to avoid intersecting existing lines on the board when you have to create new connections. Second is the increasing number of octagonal blocks that begin appearing on the board. Unlike regular blocks, these are the only places that lines can cross on the grid, but only the number of times indicated on the block. Initially these are pretty handy, but as the boards become more complicated, the octagonal blocks more numerous, and the number of times you have to use each more, they can become a huge pain. As frustrating as some levels can become, you never have to deal with penalties, timers or ratings, so it remains a surprisingly calming experience. Our primary strategy in LYNE was to first connect all the shapes in the most straightforward manner possible and then begin tweaking the paths in an effort to fill the empty spots on the board. It's a method that served us quite well, but puzzle experts should be able to figure out the solutions without any trial and error. Shapes can be connected with vertical, horizontal and diagonal lines, but each has a designated start and end point. You also need to connect every shape of the same color with your line, hopefully without blocking your own path or that of another shape. You can stop halfway with the line to focus on a different color, and the game also helpfully highlights paths you have completed in white. In addition, you can retrace your path to undo wrong moves or click on the starting point of your path to clear everything for that particular shape. If you ever grow tired of the hundreds of pre-built puzzles that are included with the game, there's also an infinite number of procedurally generated ones that become available on a daily basis. These daily levels even follow a pattern, with Monday providing you with simple ones, Wednesday reserved for regular ones, and Fridays with the most demanding puzzles. Most of these puzzles are just as good as the handcrafted ones, boosting the value for money even more. Overall, LYNE boasts an incredible amount of content for such a low asking price. Like many puzzle games these days, LYNE is a mobile release, and it's obvious that the game was initially designed for touchscreen devices and not the PC. However, this is not really a bad thing, as the streamlined interface works quite well for a game of this type. The pastel visuals are bare and sparse, but fit the calm atmosphere of LYNE. As you complete levels, you'll earn points, unlocking the next set of levels and giving you new color palettes to choose from. The game doesn't have much to offer in the way of options, as you can only change the resolution from the launcher. In-game, you're restricted to changing the language, resetting your data, or turning off the sound. It's not much, but this type of game doesn't need a million graphical options to tweak. Despite being designed for a touchscreen, LYNE is easy enough to play with a mouse. Lines can be drawn by clicking on the shapes or dragging the line where you want it to go. The latter feels the most intuitive, but can also cause the most fatigue if you spend long periods of time playing the game. The audio in LYNE is worth mentioning, as it's actually very soothing. Too many puzzle games make the mistake of using annoying music and sound effects or begin to grate after a while, but LYNE keeps things simple. Here the sounds are ambient and actually based on how you move your lines on the board, which is a neat effect. LYNE is not a totally unique concept, as we have seen games before that use the number link style of logic puzzles, but this doesn't prevent it from being a lot of fun. It scratches that puzzle itch, but while it can be lots of fun in short bursts, it can also become repetitive if played in long sessions. Thankfully, if you're stuck on a level, you can usually try some of the other ones in the set, or even a different set if you have unlocked them. This relieves some of the frustration of being stuck, but if you want all of the Steam achievements in LYNE, you'll have to earn them, as the game doesn't just dole them out for nothing. If you're a fan of puzzle games and have some loose pocket change, you can't go wrong with LYNE. It can provide you with hours of challenging puzzles, and there are still people hooked on a daily puzzles years after the game's release. Of course, if you're not a puzzle fan, you won't find much here to change your mind, but everyone else should definitely check it out. Thanks for joining me for this LYNE PC review. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time.